Good evening, good evening. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Doing all right. Jersey Red, aka Rusty, what's up? All right, Doug Smith, welcome. Good to see you again. Alonzo, Northern VA, Virginia, I believe. All right. Steve, what's up? Dennis, happy Friday. Back at you, and everybody. Welcome, everybody. Got a little guitar workout tonight. What's up, Elias? Good to see you, Eddie. What's up? Good evening. Danny from Arkansas. Chad from North Texas. Felicia, welcome. Igor from Mexico City, right on. Mick, good day. Duke 49, what's up? And Nikki the dog made it back to Tulsa. Right on, right on. Hello, Erica. Welcome, everybody. Craig, what's going on? Good day, good day. Russ and Rusty, yes. All right. Well, for those of you just joining tonight for the first time, expand the description below, get the tabs. Okay, there's a link to the tabs for what we're going to go over tonight. What's up, Brad from Ottawa? All right. Welcome, welcome, Jim Gregory, of course. Good to see you. We're going to get back to a guitar workout. It's been a couple weeks, so we'll do some playing tonight, some examples, some stuff, nothing too difficult, okay? We had a request last week to dive in a little bit to Triad, so I'll talk a little bit about that throughout this lesson. We got some arpeggiations and sort of some timing riffs to go over a little bit. So we'll work on Triad, some timing, that kind of stuff. Cincy, what's up, Tom? Welcome, welcome from Cincy. All right, hopefully you can hear that guitar. I'm kind of patching it through this little audio setup a little bit differently. So I don't think it's been coming through quite as strong as it used to. What's up, Zane? It's going great. How are you doing? All right. Cool, cool. Well, as all you veterans know who have been joining me for several weeks now, if not months, it's been going on a while. We got lots of repeat loyal viewers on this. So I super appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in week after week. For the guitar workouts, we usually start with some sort of a warm-up just to get the fingers moving and some sort of chromatic warm-up, of which you're probably all familiar with. I'll usually do some sort of a variation on it. What's up, TN? Welcome. So if you look at exercise 1, we've got, once again, starting on the 4th fret, and just one finger per fret. So I've got, index on the 4th, middle on the 5th, ring on the 6th, and pinky on the 7th. And I want to get my down up picking going, the alternate picking, okay? This is what we're working on to try and get that nice and burned in and smooth so we don't have to think about it, okay? But a little change up on this one, when we go to the next string, which is the 5th string or the A string, we're going to start with the pinky and come back down. All right, so that's our sequence for this particular warm-up, right? So if I go all the way up the string, it's going to look like this. And then again. Okay, so a little bit of trickiness there. Once you get going a little bit faster, you'll find that you want to do sort of like the moving that pinky down, because you're going to hit one note and then come down a string, right? So you almost want to kind of do a finger roll down there like that. So I'm up on the tip on the lower string, and then to quickly fret the next string using the pinky, I just sort of flatten the pinky down, and this is what's called the finger roll, right? Like that. Okay, what's up, King 50? Northern Nevada, good to see you. Okay, so that's sort of what we want to work on. So if you're finding it a little bit tricky at first, go really slow. Okay, that's the only way to burn this stuff in, as you all know. Go nice and slow, make sure you're doing it correctly, and lots of repetition, you'll be able to start to get a little bit faster with it. What's up, HH from Ottawa as well? That's awesome. Welcome. Okay, when we get up to the top string, we come back down, and then we're going to move up a fret and go up 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th fret, and then you're doing the finger roll in reverse because we're coming down. So we want to kind of be flatter on the top string and then curl it so that we get the tip coming down, right? Okay. All right, so of course you can start on the 1st fret and go all the way up and down the fretboard. You know, take at least a couple minutes, 2 to 5 minutes just to get the fingers going, right? Even better if you have a metronome, turn on a click and just really try to match your clicks and work on your timing at the same time. That works great. What's up, Shar from New York? All right, welcome. And Rich from Beijing, of course. Originally from New York, but he's in Beijing. Okay, Rich. Excellent. Great to see you again. Melissa from Washington. All right. Cool. So let's put a few of these little warm-ups together and see, kind of go up the neck a little bit. The reason why I start at the 4th fret is for those of you that find those stretches down at the 1st to the 2nd to the 3rd to the 4th to be really challenging, right? A way to kind of just get the fingers moving and sort of get used to getting the fingers in tune with the fretboard is just move up a little bit where the frets are a little bit closer together, more in the middle of the fretboard, right? And that way you can work through this exercise and just stretch the fingers out. And then maybe, you know, after a couple days, you start at the 3rd fret and try that, right? A couple days later, start at the 2nd fret. You know, sort of just work your way through with those fingers, get them stretched out a little bit. So we'll start on the 4th fret, and I'm going to go up and down a couple times. 1, 2, down, up. Here we go. What's up, Xavier? Welcome. Canada as well. Remember, down, up picks. Down, up. Down, up. Also good to try and stay relaxed. As relaxed as you can. Okay, let's go up one more fret to the 6th fret. Now we're coming back up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Up a fret. Okay. So just a little snippet of what you might do for 2 or 5 minutes just to get going a little bit. And of course, that was really slow, right? And you may have to do that if you're just new to the instrument and just trying to get some mobility down. You may have to go that slow. If you have some skill, right, work on your speed a little bit. Get the metronome going. I guess I should do this exercise, right? That kind of thing, right? I went a little bit too fast there at the beginning, caught myself, slowed down a little bit. Make sure you're doing it nice and smooth and burn it in that way, okay? If you're kind of, you know, find like that you're missing some notes or you kind of stumble around a little bit or your timing's not as smooth, means you're trying to go too fast. Roll it back a little bit, get it nice and smooth, make sure each note nice and consistent, ringing nice and cleanly, right? Sound good? All right. All right, next exercise, pretty simple. We've talked a lot about these concepts, just another thing to kind of add into the practice routine if it's something you feel like you need work on, is to work on some strums with some muted strums. Okay, so for example, I've got this G chord, okay? And if you can't do bar chords yet, just do an open G in the place of this G bar chord. Okay, but if you can do bar chords, this is a good one to practice, okay? And let's look at the rhythm of this. So the first bar of this, exercise 2, I'm doing quarter notes. The first two strums are downstroke quarter notes. So that would be 1, 2. And then if you look at the next two beats, the third and fourth beat are subdivided into two strums each, a down up for each of those. So that would be a 3 and 4 and. And what I'm doing with those X's, what it means is that I'm strumming the strings, but I'm muting the strings. So there's no notes ringing out. It's just that percussive mute sound, right? So what we have here is down, 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 up, down, up. Okay? All right. Charles, what's up from Colorado? Welcome, welcome. And for those of you joining us right now who are unfamiliar, we do have tabs. Expand the description below the video. We've got a link to the tabs for tonight's lesson. Okay, so let's have a look at what we need to do in order to mute the strings, because I'm going to be strumming, right? Like I'm not going to be doing any muting with my strumming hand. It's all going to happen with the fretting hand. And so I've got my bar chord down, but when it's time to mute, right? I'm still going to hold the shape of the chord. I'm just releasing the pressure off the fret. Okay. What's up, Kenneth? Good to see you. Okay. Release the pressure, but don't get your fingers off the strings, right? We don't want that to sound. We still want to dampen those strings. But what I like to do is keep the shape of the chord that I'm playing with so that it's easy to just press it back down. Do you notice those fingers aren't moving except to just release the pressure? Okay. So that's really something you want to work on, because you could cut off a chord that way, right? Strum the chord and then I just release the pressure and I'm holding the strings so that it just cuts off the chord and it's nice and silent, nice and clean, right? If I bring my fingers off like that, you're going to get some ringing of the open strings, right? We kind of, you know, sometimes that might be cool, but if we're not going for that, we're going for a clean sound. We just want to have a nice crisp mute going on. Okay, what's up, Ray from NorCal? What's up? Or North Carolina, Northern California. All right. Do you use the palm on the right hand as well? In this, yes, you can use the palm on the right hand to mute. In this case, I'm not. This is a technique that I'm using my fretting hand to do it, because a lot of times you'll be like that kind of thing, where you want this nice and loose and, you know, kind of like a faster tempo kind of thing. And you want your strumming hand nice and loose and in time with some great groove, right? It's really hard to kind of dampen the strings and up and down that way for something that's a little bit faster tempo. So the whole idea behind this particular example is just to get used to holding on to the strings on the fretting hand and just releasing the pressure off the chord. Now, of course, what you're going to do if we're not doing bar chords, right? If we're doing open chords, we can't just release the pressure because there's open strings involved. Right? If I release the pressure of the notes that I'm fingering here, it still leaves the D, G, and B strings open, and we don't want that. So in this case, you have to move your fingers like this and just hold the strings, okay? And then so you're going to work on moving from the chord shape to holding the strings and back to the chord shape. So this is a great exercise as well. Okay. And then to take this exercise a little bit further and advance it, what I did was I added in a chord change. So in that second bar, we've got a C major 7 chord. Okay. This particular chord is a bar chord with the root. It's called a root 5 bar chord. Roots on the 5th string or the A string, 3rd fret. I'm actually barring down from the A string all the way up, 3rd fret, adding the 5th fret of the D string, 4th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string. What's up, Peter? Okay. Same thing here. Now notice, if I'm barring down from the fifth string all the way up, if I don't sort of creep up my finger and mute that low string, right? That low string could ring out if I don't have the tip of my index finger just touching that low string a little bit. Okay. So you can put this together. You can practice this with a chord change, right? So that's the idea behind this exercise. Okay, so super straight ahead. The other thing you could do, like if we were practicing from this open G, and what's a C major 7 open chord, what that looks like is just 3rd fret of the A, 2nd fret of the D, and then open top 3 strings. That'll give you a C major 7 open chord. So again, you could practice this. The same way we were doing the open G, this time with the open C chord, C major 7, and just having to sort of straighten the fingers across the strings to allow that mute to happen, okay? All right, Vinny, I appreciate the kind words. Thanks so much. Aftershock, Phil, what's up? Cool, man. Gonna play a little. All right. So that's exercise 2. Pretty straight ahead, but a really great opportunity to just zero in on some of these techniques and really, really try to develop it and get it nice and smooth. Right? Cool. All right. I can't remember who it was exactly who was bringing up the Gambler the last 2 or 3 weeks. Somebody kept requesting me to play the Gambler. So I developed an exercise out of sort of the riff of it, and it's basically arpeggiating chords. Okay, so this isn't exactly what the part is on Guitar Tricks. And by the way, Guitar Tricks does have a song tutorial for the Gambler. On acoustic guitar, it's in a different key, so you've got a capo, and you're using some finger picking, hybrid picking kind of things. All right? Let's see, Peter, is the middle position on your tone shift knob preferred for these lessons? All right, Vinny, all right. We're going to do the Gambler. So this is based on the Gambler. Let's see, though. I got this question from Peter. Is the middle position? Are you talking about this? I've got both pickups on this guitar right now. I've got the volumes adjusted a little bit to just give me kind of a blend of a nice clean sound. If I hit the treble pickup, which is the bridge pickup, it's a little bit hotter, so I've got a little crunch on that. But because I've got the neck pickup rolled down quite a bit, when you blend both of them, it gives me a nice clean sound. So it's just how I set it up with this guitar to have kind of a clean sound and then roll it up to be able to do a crunch thing. I've got the amp set for sort of a medium crunch sound, and you can get a lot of tones just by playing with the volume knobs, right? So, really, it's just, I would say a lot of this stuff in the lessons that I do, play on a clean electric guitar or an acoustic guitar works really well. And then sometimes there are a few maybe leads or a few things like that I'll teach where it's good to throw in a crunch kind of distorted sound, but mostly clean is how I would answer that question. I hope that helps. Okay, so exercise 3A, based on the Gambler, not quite the Gambler, but I think it goes like this. One more time, let's see. Okay, so kind of a cool little arpeggiated riff. There's some different rhythms in there. Let's see, Aftershock Phil, my guitar only has a single humbucker. Don't see many like it. But something about a one pickup guitar that I really like. That really cool sound on that for sure. So, and you do see that sort of the Super Strat thing, or sort of the Eddie Van Halen one pickup guitars. I've actually got one here that I quite enjoy. So all good. Okay, so well, let's look at the rhythm up top. So what we've got are each beat subdivided. Okay, and you can see on the staff above the tabs, you can see 4 chunks. Okay, so that's going to tell you each beat of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your first clue. Okay, there's 4 chunks that are of the notes that are tied together up top. The second one is that you've got a double flag on the second and third cluster, the second and third chunk. Okay, that's a 16th note. So how we're subdividing those beats is into 4 subdivisions per beat. That's 16th notes. So you want to think 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and okay. Now let's look at beat 1. So I've got 1 flag on the first, and then I've got 2 notes with a double flag. So that's going to be 1 and 2. 1E and sorry about that. What's up, John? Good to see you. 1E and okay, right? 1E and going into the second beat. So 1E and playing off this open D chord. And you can see the second and third beat are all 16th notes. So those are all run together, right? So okay, there's not really going to be any slowdown until that fourth beat where they're now 8th notes. So we're going to hold out that second fret of the A and then the open A string. So all right, so we're arpeggiating. What's up, James? Good to see you. Another cool little embellishment on the open D, okay? We're hammering on from the open high string to the second fret. Okay, this is just a classic arpeggiated riff kind of embellishment. And then the same thing on the A string. I'm going to use my index finger to go down there. So we're outlining sort of the upper part of the G chord. We're not actually using the root note, which would be the third fret of the low string, but we're using the next note in that chord, which is the B note. Okay, that's why they call it a G/B chord. We've got a G chord up top, okay? And you've got the major third, which is the B note, as the root note or the low note, okay? Okay, and then open D string, open G string, hitting the B note, and then the open A string. Okay, so again, we're going to go nice and slow with this, right? Of course, the actual song is much faster. But we got to burn it in a little bit, right? Like we can't just pick that fast right off the top. You've got to make sure that you got the timing right. Make sense? Cool, cool? All right. Little tricky because we've got some different rhythms in there. You've got the hammer-ons, which make it a little bit tricky. Okay? So just go one chunk at a time and then add the second chunk, right? So I would practice this, make sure I would just get this part first. Okay? 1E and right? And then work on the second one. 2E and right? 2E and then try and put it together. Okay, so 1E and 2E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4 and. That's how you sort of sound that out. Now I can only count along with that if I'm playing really slow. Okay, and like I said, if it's a little bit intimidating to play that whole thing, just take it a beat at a time. Make sure you're getting each beat correct and start to put them together piecemeal, right? Add on to each beat once you feel comfortable. Makes sense. All right. Exercise 4, an arpeggiated triad exercise. So last week, somebody was talking about, I can't remember if it was Doug. Might have been Doug. Talking about triads a little more, wanted to go in depth a little bit more. So I got this exercise, which has a number of challenging elements to it based on triad shapes. And so exercise 4, the first part, the first bar is going to be a major triad shapes across all the string sets. And then I've got the minor ones in the next bar after it. And what we're going to do is pick each note individually. So I've got this. Let's start with the first chunk of 3, okay? What is a triad? A triad is a chord made up of 3, triad, 3 notes, okay? And the triad is the basis of a major chord and a minor chord, okay? We only need 3 distinctive notes to be able to make a major chord and minor chord. Now, of course, when we learn our open chords, we've got more notes added to it, but really the core of it is just that there's 3 notes making up that chord, and we've got different octaves of the same notes coming together. But at the very essence of the chord is just 3 notes. Let's look at the first one. Okay, I'm starting with my pinky 5th fret of the low string, 4th fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string. Yes, the 1, 3, 5. Those are the notes out of the scale that create the chord, in this case, the triad, which are just the basic major and minor chords, okay? So if I'm going to create an A major chord, I have to go to the scale, start with A, that's the 1, that's the first note, 1, 2, and go up the scale, right? What's up, Glenn? Glad you made it. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? Or 1 again. Each note in the scale is numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need the 1, 3, 5. So that's going to be the 1 is A. Go up the scale, skip the second. I've got the third. Okay, that's the major third in the scale. That's where you get the 4th fret of the A string. Then I continue up the scale, skip the next note. Then I end up at the 5th, 2nd fret of the D string. There are the notes that make an A major, A, C sharp, E, right? So there is your triad shape on, starting with the root as the lowest note, low string, A string, D string. That is the shape. So if I move that up to, let's say, D, and use the same shape, that will give me D major. Right? Here's A. Okay. What you'll notice is that the next one in this exercise now comes up a string set. And now I'm starting on the D 5th fret of the A string. Check out how it's the same shape. 5, 4, 2 on the A, D, and G string. Okay. Let's look at the next set of 3. Now the shape is different, and the reason the shape is different is because of the B string, which is tuned flat in relation to all the other strings. So it complicates it a little bit. What's up? Hello from Japan. Good to see you. Okay, so this is why we end up with the B string being the 3rd fret instead of the 2nd, because we're making up for the fact that the B string is tuned flat. So I've got 5, 4, and 3, and that's starting on a G note. So that's a G major shape on the D, G, and B string. Okay? And then, now I've got the 5th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string, and 3rd fret of the high string to give me a C C major triad. That's a C note right there, right? So I'm showing these because you really want to become familiar with all the different shapes on all the different string sets for major triads and minor triads. So this just gives you a little bit of a taste of what those shapes look like, okay? What's up, Vinny? Take care. Have a great weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving next week. Now we've run it together into a little bit of an exercise. And what makes this exercise a little more challenging is that I want to keep alternate picking going. So I'm going to be crossing strings using upstrokes and downstrokes and going forwards and backwards. And so it's kind of challenging to do that, right? If you want to keep down up picking going, because you're only picking one note per string, right? So it's a challenging exercise. Go slow. All right, Mark. Yes, we got some Trower coming up. They're actually, I didn't know which riff specifically you were asking about last week, so I just transcribed all 4 riffs because they're cool. They're cool riffs, and you can always learn something from stuff like that. So I threw it all in there, okay? But right now we're on these major triad shapes. So you can practice this as a individually picked, arpeggiation exercise. Okay, like that. Or you can simply practice it as just a strumming exercise, just to get those shapes down, okay? Now, in the second bar of this, and by the way, for those of you just joining, this is exercise 4, second bar. We're going into minor shapes, okay? All right. And all we have to do is move that third down, okay? The difference between a major triad and a minor triad is all in the third, okay? The root and fifths are the same, okay? But the third is 1 semitone down, okay? So you'll see that reflected in these shapes. Now, instead of 5, 4, 2 on those low strings, 5, 3, 2, okay? So now the shapes look different, 5, 3, 2, and that's because now I'm using the minor scale to get those notes together to make the chords. So that means that the notes are arranged differently. Okay? It's a different set of notes in that minor scale. So if I start on the root, that's the same. Second, skip it, but the third is different. The third is a minor third, so you're going to end up with that different note. Then you go to the fourth, fifth. Well, it turns out that the fifth is the same as the major. So the only thing that's moved is the third. Okay, so notice starting on the G, right? 5th fret of the D string. Now you've got the 3rd fret of the G and B string. Okay, so different shape. And then for C minor, 5, 4, and 3. Okay? All right, so let's back up a little bit. Getting a lot of questions about why I chose alternate picking. Okay, and the reason I the reason why I chose alternate picking is that it adds another layer of a challenge onto this. But as King 50 said, would you ever want to pick down, down, up? That makes a lot of sense. Okay, down, down, up is what they call economy picking, where you sort of go in the direction of the notes that you're playing. So in a lot of ways, the economy picking approach, which is down, down, up, makes a lot more sense for something like this, right? Because you're going down, down, and then you're going to hit an upstroke on the last note, which brings your picking direction back to hit a downstroke on the next group of 3 notes. Okay? I picked alternate picking because it adds a little bit of extra challenge to it. because we want to get good at alternate picking, because that's like sort of your go-to picking technique for anything. If you can alternate pick really well, you can use it for a lot of things. Where it really starts, where you start using all these different picking techniques is, if you want to get a lot of speed going or that kind of thing. In this case, it's totally arbitrary. We don't need to alternate pick this. I just thought it would make a fun exercise to do that, okay? Because it's a little bit challenging. But I'm sort of thinking about it now. King 50's got it totally right. For an alternate way to do this is down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. Okay, that makes a lot of sense too, just from the direction of the notes and the strings you're going. Okay, what's up, Pat? Thank you for making it. All right, a little bit late, no problem. Doug, the reason why I want to get more familiar with triads is they seem great for accompaniment other guitarists as to not step on their playing. Exactly. Okay. It's the ultimate compact chord, and you can play them anywhere. So for example, if another guitarist is playing full bar chords on an acoustic, let's say, and full open and bar chords, that's usually going to be down here, right? If you're a second guitar player trying to add something, right? If you know your triad shapes, you can play up the neck and just play little economical chords that add a lot to the sound without stepping on anyone else. So that's 100% a great methodology there as far as what you're thinking. Okay, plus 1,000 behind that. All right. So is this the same or similar to parallel shapes? Russ is asking. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by parallel shapes. In this case, you're looking side by side, parallel, say an A major to an A minor. So kind of in that sense, I guess when you sort of think of parallel keys, that's what you're thinking about. You're thinking about A major versus A minor. Okay, they're parallel. So I guess maybe we're looking into parallel shapes, I guess, if you want to put a name on it. But really, it's just, understanding what the triad shape is for a major shape on a certain string set, and then what does the minor look like, okay? So that you can play those shapes no matter where you are on the fretboard, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Erica, so the sound is the same. It's about the rhythm and control. Yeah, I think the sound is going to differ a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I think, let's see. Okay, versus. Yeah, it's arbitrary, okay? You want to just be versatile in whatever sort of picking technique you're using. I chose alternate picking for that one, but the down, down, up picking makes a lot of sense as well. So take your pick on that. Great observation, King 50. I like it. All right. Exercise 5, we've got an open chord riff with embellishment. I just wanted to show this because there's a lot of power in planting the pinky, is what I call it. If you look at this chord progression, if you start with this F sus2 chord, it forces you to plant the pinky on the 3rd fret of the high string. You see this? We've got the 3rd fret of the D string, that's the F note, open G string, and then 1st fret of the B, 3rd fret of the high string. Cool chord, suspended chord, kind of floaty, right? That's an F sus2. What it does is now strum that a couple times and then go to a C chord, but I'm still got the pinky on the top string, 3rd fret. And by the way, this is not changed that this is a C major, because there's a G already in a C major chord. I'm just playing a higher octave G with it, okay? So I'm going from here, doing that. Now notice I go to the G chord in the next bar. And the reason that I'm showing you this is that there's a lot of power in just keeping playing the G chord like this instead of changing to maybe using your ring finger on the top string, okay? And the reason is that you can do this embellishment right here. You can add notes onto this chord, okay? Check out this G chord I'm getting. Ring finger, 3rd fret of the low string. I'm curling the finger around to mute the A string. So that leaves the open D, open G, open B strings, and I've still got my pinky on the 3rd fret of the high string. That means it leaves these 2 fingers to sort of play around with that triad that's on those open D, G, and B strings. If I add in 2nd fret of the D and 1st fret of the B, okay, you're adding a cool little embellishment. So let me play this riff first of all. Let's see. That's sort of what I was going with this. Really nice sounding strummed little riff, right? But there's some extra things going on with it. Now, what I didn't tab out was, oh my goodness, earthquake, Erica, oh my goodness. I hope we're all safe. Man, that's crazy. Okay. On the C chord, hammering on to the 2nd fret of the D string from the open D string. I didn't put it in the tab, but that's a great embellishment. Okay, sounds really nice. Especially on acoustic, you want to use that stuff all the time because it really adds a lot of texture. That kind of thing. Okay, so. And this is just a classic embellishment right here off a G chord. And you're sort of going to this C over G sound. You're putting this C triad in there. But you're still holding down those notes right here, ringing out the low G and the high G, right? And that's just a great sound. It's used all the time, right? Okay. The earthquake was a great embellishment. I don't know if it was a great embellishment. It was an embellishment, and I hope everybody's safe. We'll put it that way. Man, that's crazy. All right, so just thought I'd throw that in there again. So, something sort of straightforward for you to throw in the practice routine and, mess around with. And like I say every week, take these exercises and experiment with them, right? Try different chords, different keys, different spots of the neck, and you'll be surprised at the kind of things that you can stumble upon when you just take sort of the idea of what's portrayed in the exercise and run with it, right? All right. I believe, Erica, you're San Diego, or I think you're SoCal, right? I believe you are, or maybe in the desert there, SoCal. Well, we'll find out where that little earthquake was. All right. Exercise 6, coming back to Doug for this one, a little more triads. Yeah, Palm Springs. I knew it was SoCal somewhere. Man, Paul, hope everybody's good. Exercise 6 for Doug, a little more triad work here. Super simple strumming, okay? But again, playing with these shapes a little bit. And this time I'm using some different shapes up top. Starting with the G major shape, 4th fret of the G string, 3rd fret barring down on the top 2 strings. So with the previous triad exercise, the lowest note of those shapes that we were practicing is always the root. But the power of triads is that you can sort of flip the order of the notes. You've got 3 notes and you can change the order. And so in this case, I've got a G major triad, but the lowest note is the 3rd. It's a B. It goes B, D, G. So what would be the root of the chord is actually the highest note in this shape. So that gives you 3 different shapes across any string set that you can play these triads. So I'm illustrating that I've got a G triad in the 3rd position for the first couple strums. And then I've got another G triad with this sort of open D shape slid up, 7th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B, 7th fret of the high string. Okay. And this time the G note's in the middle, and I've got the 5th on the bottom and the major 3rd up top. Okay, so there's another shape. And so if I'm in the 3rd position, I can grab a triad using the top 3 strings right like that. But if I happen to be up the neck a little bit, I've got a different shape available to me at the 7th position. Okay, and if I kept going with this, there would be the shape that we saw in the previous example, 12, 12, and 10 on the top 3 strings, and then it repeats. Right? Okay, so here's the exercise. G, G, and then 7th fret, G, G. Okay, then we're going to a different shape. D major, and this time it's the shape with the root as the lowest note. So 7, 7, 5, 2 strums, and then down 2 frets to the C major, same shape, and turn it into an exercise, right? So okay. Now let's look at it in the second part of this exercise, exercise 6, second half. Now I'm using the D, G, and B strings. So now I've got 5th fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret of the D, G, and B strings. That's a G major triad, this time with the root. The G note is the lowest note. But if I come up to the 7th position, then I've got this shape, 9th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B. Okay, now I've got the major 3rd on the bottom. Okay, so that's another great shape. And then you'll see the D major is just barring down at the 7th fret, and the C major is barring down at the 5th fret. So you've got all right, so exercise 6, just showing you some major triads, different string sets, showing you how powerful they can be, because you can be anywhere on the neck and grab these shapes. So well worth your time to learn all the shapes for all the different string sets, major and minor, play around with them, find where they are all over the neck, okay? Hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, exercise 7, we've got this arpeggiated pedal riff. I thought this was kind of fun to play with, to let everything ring out and sort of play with some notes moving on the D and G string while I've got the open A string. So I'm just going to play this and we'll break it down a little bit. So just grabbing notes from A minor, basically, and playing sort of just a fun little exercise, okay? In this case, the melody is coming up and down from A minor on the G string, but I'm still holding down sort of this A power chord. And actually, I just realized you can pick this, or finger pick it is pretty fun too. Okay, so if you're on the acoustic, this is a great little workout just for finger picking, okay? In the 3rd bar, right, I'm moving up to this shape. Okay, 5th fret on the D string, but then moving the melody 7, 5, 4, 5 on the G string. little bit slower. So I kind of like this finger picked, actually. So I should have probably made this into a finger picking exercise, but cool. It's a fun little one, right? The idea there is that you've got pedal notes. Okay, so we've got that A droning all the way through that. So that's really nice. Anchors the whole sort of thing together, and you're just playing around with the notes of A minor. All right, Robin Trower stuff. You don't have to know the song to get something out of these little parts here over in exercise 8. The song is called Two Rolling Stoned, I believe. Cool, Erica. Right on, right on. I like that. So there's a lot of cool riffs in this song going on, and I think we can learn something from everything. So I just thought, why not throw everything in there? Okay, so first one is sort of this galloping riff with palm muting, based out of C minor with some chromatic notes added in. Okay, so let's look at it a little bit because we're using 16th notes again. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. Okay. Now notice when we get to that C note, we're chromatically coming up to it, right? 6th, 7th, and then the 8th fret, when we hit that, that's an 8th note. So we actually sort of let that ring out. And so you have that sort of galloping rhythm where it's da-da-dun, 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 da-da-da, right? Okay, we go up to the 6th fret in the A string, okay, which are 8th notes. So, and then back to the chromatic gallop. And then just one note there on the 6th fret of the low string, and then you just repeat that, right? So it's a little bit faster on the recording. Okay, that's what we're going for. But really useful, fun little thing to work on, right? 2, 3, 4. Should mention the palm muting, right? So that's also the thing to practice with this. Karate chopper on your picking hand, resting sort of near the bridge of your guitar, acoustic or electric, doesn't matter. You can get this effect on any of it. And just dampen those strings. Okay. Nice and light. You don't have to be very heavy-handed on this. Okay. Just rest the side of your hand on that. Cool. Are these triplets? They're not triplets, okay? It feels like groups of 3, but they're actually not, okay? Because we've got 2 16th notes leading into an 8th note, okay? So it's 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. That kind of vibe, okay? So they're actually 16th notes, but you're holding that 3rd note. Well, there's 2 ways to do this. Either cut off that 3rd note and put a rest in there, which I didn't tab out, or you can just let that note, that C note, ring out. Okay? Actually, the way that it's tabbed out, you let it ring out. I know I was playing it with a rest in there. I was cutting off that note. Okay, a triplet would be more like triplet. I know it's sort of a subtle difference, but in this case, there's 16th notes with either you're holding out that last note for 2 16th notes, basically. Right? So it's not a triplet. There's sort of a subtle difference there. Hopefully that helps. I'll get into a lot more detail into triplets maybe next week. We're running out of time tonight, but I will definitely try. All right. Next is sort of this Hendrixy kind of melody that he does in the song. So this is kind of fun, using C minor pentatonic. Okay, so the first part. That. So using some hammer-ons, 6 to 8 on the low strings. Okay. Then notice the full quarter note on the 6th note, on the 6th fret of the A string. Okay. Those are 8th notes. And then 8th notes on the hammer-on. So then we've got this slide on the 2nd. Cool, Mark. Glad you're finding it helpful. 8 slide from 8 to 10 on the A string. Okay, so that part is adding in some vibrato on these two, right? Okay, so 8 to 10 slide. 2 picks on the 8th fret of the D. And then a hammer on 8 to 10 with vibrato. So. Now that's not the full riff because he kind of changes it a little bit, but that's the idea on that. And of course, he's got the wah-wah going. He's got a little more crunch, right? So you can kind of like, you know, that kind of thing, right? Keep it clean. All right. So then he's got this funky riff going on. And so this is a great sort of add-on to what we talked about earlier with the muted strums. Check out the chords in this are just barring down. First on the 8th fret of the D, G, and B string, and then the 10th fret of the D, G, and B strings. Okay? And lots of 16th note strums. So right? So we want to get going on those mutes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and that's 16th note muted strums. Look at the first bar of this. This is exercise 8C. Just a downstroke holding out that triad there. Okay? 8th fret of the D, G, and B. Just one downstroke and then getting into the flow. Down, up, right? And then the tricky one is on the 4th beat where you're hitting 10th fret for a down, up, and then quickly muting for the next down, up. So you just want to practice that beat, right? Okay, try to put it together. Okay, that's the idea on that. So when it goes fast like the song, let's do it again. Okay, great stuff here. This is great stuff to practice nice and slow over and over to really, you know, help work out your strum nice and relaxed, get some groove. That funky strumming, great stuff. Okay. Last 2 exercises. Thanks for hanging in, everybody. We've got a different riff here with some syncopation, which means the chord changes and strums happen on offbeats. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Doug, this song is called Two Rolling Stoned. Okay, and these aren't, I mean, they're close, you know, but they're not sort of super accurately transcribed. Just kind of got the flavor for it a little bit just to teach some stuff tonight because it was requested last week. But all right, so. That's the riff. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've got this chord here. It's an E flat chord. 6th fret of the A string, barring down on the 8th fret of the D, G, B. Okay. Now you can see those downstrokes. Those are quarter notes, right? 1, 2, and then on the third beat, we're going to this B flat chord. Full major bar chord, sixth position, root on the low string. It's a down up, right? So that's 3 and, right? 1, 2, 3 and then there's a mute on that down, or there's a rest, sorry, on that downstroke. So we're not strumming anything, but moving to this F major chord, 8th fret of the A string, 10th fret of the D, G, and B. And hitting the upstroke on that. So that chord change happens on the and of 4, okay? And then it rings out over the next bar. The second half of the riff is exactly the same, except that last chord change goes back to C major, 8th position. So. All right. Racing ahead, but again, cool syncopated rhythm, fun to practice, fun to play. All right. Last lick, exercise 9, a little blues lick. Let's see if I can play this. All right. One more time. Pretty cool. Coming from the A note, 2nd fret of the G, sliding up to the major 3rd, right? Based off an A chord, actually an A7, A dominant 7. So we're going from the root up to the 6th fret, which would be the major 3rd, and then up the major pentatonic notes right here, 5 to 7, hammer on the B string, and then barring down on the 5th fret of the top 2 strings. Cool little, so you got the top part of an A major, or an A sort of A chord, right? 5th and root. We got the flat 5 right there with the higher root. So that's from the blues scale. Okay, 4th fret of the B string there. And then just a classic bluesy riff using double stops here. 7th fret of the D and G. You want to use the finger roll there, right? Barring down at the 7th fret of the G and B. And then rolling to the tip, 7th fret of the D. And then you're barring down the 5th fret of the G and B, hammering on to 6 on the G. Let it ring out with the open A. All right? Cool way to end it tonight, I think, right? So a little more of an advanced sort of riff lick there. Pretty fun. Work on it if you're down for it. All right? Went super quick. Thanks for tuning in. As always, next week we will be here on Friday after Thanksgiving. Okay, we'll be here next week. Probably do a rhythm styles kind of thing again. We've got finger picking coming up probably in 2 weeks. We'll do another finger picking workshop. All right. I appreciate everybody joining in week after week, and thanks for all the great questions and comments. Super appreciate it, everybody. Have a great holiday week next week. All right. What do we got here? Chad, having a wonderful time with Amplitude. I hope Santa brings the Ebo. You got it, man. I love it. The Ebo is a fun one. Great. I'm glad you're digging Amplitude and feeling inspired. That's awesome. Glenn, thanks so much. Russ, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Erica, as always. Thank you, Steve. Thanks so much, Mick. I appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving back at you, Danny. Thank you. HH, thank you. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it. King 50, all right. Peter, thank you. Unison bends. Yes, we will. I'll make a note. Unison bends. All right, Mike, welcome, welcome. First time. Thanks so much. Nikki the dog, as always, thank you. Duke 49, thank you. Dennis, thanks. HH. All right, send the question. Glenn, happy Thanksgiving back at you. Zane, thank you. All right, Igor, right on. Jim Gregory, Melissa. And all right, Doug and Dennis, thanks so much. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Mark. All right, see ya.